Hey, dude. I have this software that I'm using, and it's actually really good. It can make you a pro player at any game you want, like League of Legends, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, or any sort of game that you actually want to play. You can become a top ranker at any time, and you'll never get caught. I promise. It's just a sheet system. You only have to pay like $100 a month with this software. They update it all the time, so these anti-cheat softwares can't get you, and it's totally worth the money because you will become the proest player ever. And if you don't use it, I'm not entirely sure what you're doing with your life, and this will make you a better person. This will make you better in any sort of way that you. That's sort of the picture or the sound I have in my head of anybody trying to sell a cheating system to anybody, like a drug dealer that's trying to pitch in that this is a good idea. You will benefit from this. You will. It's gotta be a tough market being a cheat system developer online, or maybe it's very lucrative. Maybe it's something that you can compare to like drug dealers and so on. That you sell that extra thrill, that extra thing to people. I think though that for me personally, anti-cheat systems development would probably be a little bit more down my path. I think that would be a little bit more fun, fighting the bad guys instead of, I don't know, being toxic to the community. And that's the thing, being a cheater, especially in a multiplayer community. I don't really care about you being a cheater in a single player game because you're only affecting your own stuff that way. I think generally that cheating in a single player game sort of removes the enjoyment of that game. I have done it a lot in the past, especially when I was younger, and every time I did it, a couple of hours later, didn't want to play the game because I didn't find any enjoyment because there was no obstacles for me to overcome anymore. Maybe the only way I would play it for, or the only reason I would play it was because I wanted to find out the story. But most of the time I wanted to be able to overcome obstacles and find cool loot and so on. But enough of that. The most important things when you talk about cheaters is in multiplayer games, of course. And kids that are cursing, that are fucking douchebags and throwing around curse words like I am right now, and just being very toxic in general, is something that, even if it makes you angry, is something that you can handle because you can most likely outperform them or mute them or whatever. There's usually different ways where you can handle that pretty easy. But when a player is a cheater, they're using external software or something external that gives them a direct benefit mechanically in the actual game you're playing, and that way you have a clear disadvantage to that player. You don't have that option that player has, and you don't have that which would make you be able to overcome that player. There is every once in a while that situation where you are able to outperform a cheater in a multiplayer shooter, and that is great. It feels so good, but that is a rare occurrence, I have to say. Most of the time, even if they're not even trying to hide it, if they have aim assistant, aimbot, or wall hack and doing it very obviously and straight in your face, there's no real way for you to be able to humanly overcome that without using some similar software yourself. So that is a rare occurrence when you actually are able to outperform those guys. But that's the thing. Cheaters and cheating in multiplayer games are the most toxic thing in any sort of gaming environment. But there are games that are using stuff that are very good in order to combat this behavior. And one thing that I really like about Counter-Strike is their Overwatch system. I think it's actually pretty cool. And also the system where you can replay your matches and look back and see if a player is actually a cheater or not, because it's pretty easy to see if they run around looking at people through walls and so on. I would like seeing more games adapting this as a feature, where you can re-look at games and see if people are actually cheaters or not. I think that's a great system, but Counter-Strike does have a big flaw when it comes to compare it to their competitors, and that's by being so goddamn cheap. Think about this. If a cheater gets caught, if he gets banned, if he can never play that game multiplayer-wise on his account again, and he needs to make a new account and buy another copy of that game. It's a bigger barrier if that game is expensive rather than cheap. I think I could get a lot of copies for Counter-Strike Global Offensive below $10 right now. And that's not a big barrier for anyone who likes to troll people or like to cheat and so on to overcome. Right? I mean, if anybody would cheat in Rainbow Six right now, or in Battlefront, or any newer titles where it costs like $60 or $70 to actually get all that content that you actually want, or even more, then that is a big barrier for those cheaters to actually have to overcome every time they step it back into the game and when they actually get banned. And there is obvious benefits to a game being cheap. The community gets larger, everybody can get in, and usually create something that is a little bit more fun and is more beneficial to the developers and so on and so on. But there has to be actions in order to actually make barriers that these cheaters have to overcome in order to try to cheat again. Because I think those one-time offenders is something that we won't get rid of. I think that's always going to be a issue, those one-time offenders, but there are people that like to do it again and again, and especially in games that are free to play or games that are very cheap in order to get. They could like play for a couple of weeks with cheats and not get banned, and when they get banned they're like, okay, I'm gonna put this game on the shelf for now, I don't really care. And then a month later they're like, okay, I have my salary, I can pay like $7 or $8 in order to get into the game again, and then control a little bit more and be a douchebag and fuck around and cheat more and shoot some headshots and shoot people through walls and being a pro player some way. I don't know what's going through their minds. Is this a perverted way for them to being trolls? I don't know if it's perverted, but I think it's some way getting that enjoyment from actually trolling people and making their experience worse is somehow a little bit perverted. I don't see how you could get enjoyment out of that unless you are a little bit disturbed. I do understand people that are trying to use cheat systems in order to, I don't know, become better at a game or look like they're better at a game. Those are the guys that I just find so much enjoyment out of. And I think that's something that's really, when you watch videos on YouTube with people using the Overwatch system and looking at cheaters and sort of judging them if they're cheaters or not, those guys that are actually really trying to conceal that they're using wall hacks or, oh my god, I have such a twitchy arm, I don't know, headshot. Those guys that are like, I'm just a legit player. I don't know, I'm just really good at predicting where everybody comes, and I do have Parkinson's every once in a while, and that gives me great aim when it comes to headshot and so on. I think those guys are a little bit adorable, but then again very toxic to the community, because those are the harder guys to spot. And I don't know, I may sound like Captain Obvious to some of you guys just pointing out this, but it is a topic that I'm really passionate about when it comes to gaming, because I think it is the single most toxic thing in any sort of gaming community thing ever. I have to make a confession, I have tried out cheats in Counter-Strike before. I think it was back when, I don't know if it was in Counter-Strike 1.5 or 1.6 when it was completely new. Me and some friends were having a LAN, and we were doing it as a joke thing, jumping on Australian servers with like 400 to 500 ping, and we were obviously using like wall hacks and aimbot assistance and all kinds of stuff like that. And that thing, like doing it as a group, we went in as a actual clan doing this and just trolling everybody. But it was kind of fun because nobody thought that, or it wasn't really that easy to see that we were obviously cheating, because we were lagging around so much. It was practically unplayable for us, and we did it like for like half an hour in order to just try everything out. I'm not gonna say that that was a good behavior, but we did it with friends. We wanted to try it out and see how it actually worked and so on. But that's the thing. Now, that was in the older days. It was on a public server. It was on a shitty little public server. We didn't want to inflict too much damage on the community, and nobody actually called us out for some reason that we were cheaters. I'm not trying to justify our behavior here. I think it was actually pretty shitty looking back, but, well, you do stupid things when you're a kid, and maybe the guys who are doing this cheating stuff are kids as well, but people that are cheating nowadays, especially in ranked ladders, there's a lot of more ranked ladders than when I was a kid that you can cheat in. Public servers, it doesn't matter too much, but in ranked stuff that actually affects you, they're just screaming, ban me. Screaming, take my money. I bought this game, I'm gambling my money on some sort of stupid reason, but I don't want to play it anymore because I'm cheating. Take my money. Take it. And it's something that I won't ever really understand. And I think there has to be more ways for game developers to be able to counter this. I think Overwatch is an excellent system in Counter-Strike. I think there are systems in place other than just anti-cheat softwares that could be used in order to combat this, and something that, I don't know. I've been thinking about this subject for so long, and actually coming up with solutions is pretty hard. It's pretty hard to come up with great ideas in order to actually combat cheaters. And I guess the easiest way is giving people or players the ability to kick or vote ban or whatever. I think that's the easiest way to counter something like that. But I don't know. If you want, you can give your 2 cents about cheating and what you think about it, or give an experience. Maybe you have some cool stories about cheaters, or maybe you've cheated yourself and maybe you have a reason why you do it. Maybe you're just one of those guys that finds so much enjoyment out of trolling the community with your cheats, and maybe you're actually a guy who used cheat in order to become a better player or trying to climb the rankings. That would be interesting to hear about. If you are one of those guys, then please leave a comment below. Or if you are a cheating girl as well, you don't have to be a guy. I'm not trying to discriminate here. It's just my choice of words. We can always speculate about this, but the only ones who actually have the real answers are the guys that use this frequently and actually find some enjoyment out of using cheats, which I don't see. I usually see those barriers that you have to overcome in order to become a better player are something of the biggest enjoyments of a game, and that's why I don't really understand why people want to totally just remove those barriers, and I don't know. Maybe they find some enjoyment out of that. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below, or not. You can totally not do that. Dislike and like this video if you want to. Share it. It would be much appreciated. And until next time, bye.